It's Tuesday at 6 o'clock. You're watching Sunrise. Our top story today, Britain under attack. Hello, very good morning to you watching Sunrise here on Sky News. I'm Sarah Jane Mee. The organisation which guards the UK from cyber attacks has warned that it's almost inevitable that the country will be hit by a life-threatening incident. This is because of a dramatic increase in the number of cyber attacks. Well, the National Cybersecurity Centre added that it believes the majority of attacks can be traced to hostile nation states. Our technology correspondent Roland Manthorpe reports. Also this morning, the US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, is due to arrive in Saudi Arabia later on to meet with King Salman. This is over the case of the missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Mr. Khashoggi, who is a leading critic of the country's crown prince, vanished after entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul 2 weeks ago. Turkish officials believe he was murdered there, and last night police searched the consulate. President Trump has speculated that rogue killers could be responsible. It's set to be another difficult day for the Prime Minister. The remaining 27 EU countries are meeting to discuss Brexit in Luxembourg this morning. And she'll be facing challenges to her Brexit plan from a number of senior ministers at today's cabinet meeting. That's due to get underway after 9 o'clock. We can head to Westminster right now and speak to Sunrise's political correspondent Tamara Cohen. Tamara, a number of tough days already, a number of tough days ahead. But a cabinet meeting this morning, what do you think is going to happen there for the Prime Minister?
Hi, Sarah Jane. Well, I think
throughout the programme here on Sunrise this morning. And just to remind you that Sky News is campaigning for an independent commission for leaders' debates at Gen. Interesting development today when it comes to hate crime. Ageism could be included as part of that. This is under a review of race and hate laws. Neil has more details for you. Morning, Neil. He didn't seem very comfortable talking about that, did he? We know that he likes to keep a lot of his personal life, well, just that, personal. So he's a bit uncomfortable talking about that, I thought.
Yeah, and he's about to be a dad for the first time. It does send you know, the fear of death into you a little bit.
When we broke the news yesterday, a lot of people were saying, you know, they're doing a 16-day tour. That's quite a lot for Meghan to take on as somebody who's 3 months pregnant. And I was like, she's not ill, she's just pregnant. But they're doing over 76 engagements. I didn't realise they were doing that. I mean, that's just a lot anyway.
Yeah, and actually the story that's in a few of the papers today, that they're having to tailor the itinerary because there are parts of the tour where the Zika virus is around, so Meghan may not be cropping up. Phil Edwards, our correspondent who was in yesterday, called it, said, oh, you'll have to keep an eye. This could be how we find out if she's pregnant or not. Lo and behold, 2 hours later, Phil was right.
Yeah. We'll be following every step of that tour, as will the world's media now, with that big announcement. Everybody watching every move they make. Roll Baby Watch starts right here. It's pretty much started, yeah. It's underway. It's underway. We're on Roll Baby Watch. Neil, thank you. I'm going to take a look at the front pages of this morning's newspapers now, this Tuesday.
If it could fit.
Yeah. We can get those special extension ones.
Of course,
maybe
yeah, I know.
You see on planes. So maybe it's not such a daft idea after all. A full look inside the papers coming up at 22. Michelle Jeebury and Andy Walton here. But Neil, I want to talk about this report into the bullying culture at Westminster. It's the front page of the Eye. And some pretty disturbing findings coming from that.
Yeah, I mean, basically it says that there is a toxic culture in the House of Commons, which, frankly, if you'd spent any amount of time working there, you'd probably know already. Dame Laura Cox was essentially tasked with little confidence that the necessary changes can be made unless, as she puts it, you know, senior Commons officials step down. And the accusation...
She's talking about the Speaker there.
The accusation is this goes all the way to the top. John Bercow, the Speaker of the House of Commons, is a controversial figure at the best of times. There is a feeling among some MPs of my acquaintance that he hasn't done enough, and that appears to be backed up. That's why we're Evan Barron, the head of the Common Standards Committee, that John Bercow has to go. There is a huge amount of pressure on him, not least because John Bercow actually promised he would not be Speaker by this point, that he would have stepped down by this point, and has chosen not to do so.
Yeah, it's interesting. This report isn't into just sexual harassment, it's bullying, it's swearing at people, at younger members of staff, and just an all-round intimidating atmosphere. That's on the front page of the Eye. It's also the front page of the Times as well. Now, a bit of a picture story. An eagle-eyed journalist spotted this on the walls of the White House, and it's causing...
To the camera, of course. Why would the attention be on Abraham Lincoln rather than Donald Trump? He's got form, though, for putting up pictures of himself. Mar-a-Lago, his kind of golf club slash, you know, estate, there's a picture of... He put a portrait of himself up. in the barn.
It's just the light is shining on him like some godlike figure. And it's also quite interesting. A lot of people have likened it to, do you remember those paintings of dogs playing poker?
Yeah, there is a feel of
that similarity.
Anyway, it was a present from a congressman, a Republican congressman. Apparently liked it so much, he stuck it in the dining room.
Okay.
Well, what you would, if you're president, pictures of yourself around the place.
There you go. There you go. That's that little art and culture section for this morning. Neil, thank you very much. I'm going to take a look at the sport now with Jackie. And Jackie, no doubt, England featuring quite heavily this morning. Go on a bit. They were probably like that. We've lost off. Don't want to hear any more about an England victory.
Either that or they need 50p for the metre.
Yeah. Be euros, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. That's probably what it was. Currency exchange. They couldn't quite get it right. Get in touch, news@sky.com this morning. We are talking about artificial intelligence and robots. We're asking as part of our talking point, can they ever replace humans? At Sky Sarah Jane on Twitter, at Sky News Neil. Because robots are being used increasingly to help teachers in schools and to look after the elderly.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why people are concerned about it. I mean, we've been hearing for years that the rise of the robots, they're coming to take your jobs.
They always use a picture of the Terminator as well, don't they? That's not true. It's not that bad.
It's a little bit disingenuous to show a murderous robot from the future when you're talking about, assembly lines and things like that. I can understand the concerns, but, look around. At the moment, we've got not quite full employment, but as close to as we may well get. And, we've never had more automation in the workplace. So something to be embraced, maybe? I don't know.
The reason we're discussing this is the first robot ever to appear before a parliamentary select committee on artificial intelligence will be appearing today. This robot will be giving a presentation and giving pre-prepared answers. Wait, don't even start joking about the fact that that's like Prime Minister's questions or any interview with a politician.
The Maybot.
The Maybot. Anyway, news@sky.com for your thoughts. Right, let's have a look at the weather. We don't need a robot for that. We've got Naz, she's all over it. Artificial intelligence, the real thing. Here's you. Hello, good morning. Welcome back to Sunrise here on Sky News. Still to come this morning. We're up at 9:30. You can also tweet us this morning at Sky Sarah Jane to join in the debate. Our top story this morning, Theresa May's promise to end austerity by 2022 is in danger of backfiring. This is according to the Institute of Fiscal Studies. The Chancellor needs to raise an extra £19 billion a year to end austerity, and that will mean hefty tax hikes. Sky's economics editor Ed Conway has the details. Stay with us. Coming up after the break, we'll be taking a look through Tuesday's newspapers. The businesswoman Michelle Dewberry and the journalist Andy Walton are here, just looking through some of the stories they've picked. MPs being groped and abused in Westminster, the government policy forcing women into prostitution, and the worst railway station in the country has been revealed. That's coming up after the break. Welcome back to Sunrise here on Sky News. It's time to take a look through Tuesday's newspapers. Michelle Dewberry and Andy Walton are here. Good morning.
Morning.
Now, we're going to kick off with the front page of The Eye, and they have splashed on this report into the bullying culture at Westminster, Michelle, and there's some damning findings in there.
Yeah, and this says 155...
Buck, stop, Andy, because a lot of questions being asked on the front page of The Times, in The Eye as well. Jane Merrick writing about the Speaker of the House. Should he now consider his position, rather?
Well, I think we've got to be careful.
It's that age-old cry when something goes wrong. People go, let's have a review, let's have an investigation, but it is what happens next.
Yeah.
Andy, in the Mirror, tell me about the government policy that's forcing women into prostitution.
This is really dreadful. This is universal credit. We've heard so much about the implementation of this.
For 4, 5,
Yeah, that's
sometimes
terrible,
6 weeks
but
without any source of income.
And that's terrible also, but I think that we need to be...
Universal credit, please, and the rollout. News@sky.com. Tell us what it's really like at Sky Sarah Jane on Twitter. We broke the news yesterday morning of a royal baby. We are officially on royal baby watch. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex expecting Michelle, and it's all over the paper.
Yeah, sorry, what was that face, Michelle, that you just...
Left out of the statement yesterday was any comment from Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, as to whether he'd been informed and what was his reaction, but the Sun got it.
If you're worried about what he thinks, all I can say is get yourself to your newsagents and get involved in these newspapers, because today you can...
In Google searches for when is spring.
The thing is, I picked the Mail up this morning with this glorious pullout, as you said.
To Syria, and this is in the Times, and this is talking about the impact of the war there on children.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick this out because I fear we're...
Mustn't. That's in the Times today, focusing on that particular refugee camp, one of many. just got time before we look at the back pages of the newspapers with Jackie, Andy, for you to tell us what the worst train station in the country is.
Yeah, well, my northern pride is deeply damaged
It's
by
not that
this.
story.
One of my favourite places in the world, the second city, I think the greatest city in the world, Manchester, Oxford Road Station. Believe it or not, more different angles. It's sort of a perfect storm of different factors that have played into it. But if you go to Oxford Road and try and get a train, as I do when I go and visit my parents.
OK, right, let's have a look at the back pages today. Jackie is looking at those. What have you found, Jackie? And every Spanish pun ever invented is in the newspapers today. Let's talk about naked waiters, shall we, Michelle?
Oh, if you insist.
Why?
Yes, let's.
That someone at the care homes had to do.
Do you know, when I first...
Next out for more stories from inside today's papers. Not sure if there'll be nudity. If Michelle's got anything to do with it, there probably will be. Let's have a look at the weather now. Nazanin is here.